Hey, everybody, it's Jim from Alabama, and whoo, it's a great day to be alive. I tell you what. Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about languages today. Now, I speak some different languages. Ich kann sehr gut Hinterwäldlerdeutsch. For all y'all that speak German out there, uh, I'm sure you got a big chuckle out of that. What I said was I speak pretty good redneck German, and אני מדבר קצת עברית. I speak some Hebrew as well, too. So, but learning a language is it's you kind of off balance at first, especially if the language has a different alphabet than from what you're used to, and it takes a while, to get real comfortable with it. And even when the words and the basic sentence structure and things, still there's still always going to be some little nuances that you might not understand, like some jargon or whatever. And so it takes a while, and even walking down the street, you hear people might be talking in a different language or something. You walk by and they start laughing or something. You think, hey, what's that boy saying about me? You know, you don't know. You don't know. But the language that I want to show you today is one that you might not have ever thought about. Okay, it's the language that the elites, the celebrities, politicians, especially politicians, that they use to communicate. I would always think to myself, how do these people, how do these elite people, and celebrities and politicians, how do they communicate? How are they always like on the same page? How do they know? Because if they send texts or anything over the computer or their phone, that can be intercepted. Of course, not by the regular person, but they can be intercepted and deciphered and everything. So how do they communicate? Huh? Well, I'm going to show you that. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things about language. Like I say, it's one thing to know, the basic sentence structure, words, conjugations, and stuff like that. But then the other side of language is perspective. What point of view is the person speaking? What point of view or what perspective are they speaking from? Okay. Now, when you hear politicians, especially politicians, and the MSN, the mainstream media, when you hear them talking and saying things, you can't trust that. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you already know that you have to use the mainstream media as basically a reverse barometer. Okay, so if they tell you to go right, buddy, you better go left. Okay, because they do not have your best interest in mind. Okay. Now, when you see a politician getting up there, or celebrity, it doesn't matter, and they'll say something like, "We have got to save our democracy." See, but when they get up there and say something like that, what do they mean? What are they talking about? Okay. Now, to the average person that has been trained to think that we live in a democracy, they'll think, oh yeah, we need to save it. Yeah, okay. So it's got that one face, one facade, you know, for the general public, everything. But these guys always have a hidden meaning to everything that they say. Okay, because they're not looking, they're not coming from the perspective of, you know, supporting the people and doing good things for the people. They're coming from the perspective of, we own the people, we own you. Okay, that's the perspective they're coming from. Okay, so when they say that, we've got to save our democracy, they're really saying, hey guys, to their elite group, hey guys, we need to get together and we need to come up with a game plan to save our butts. That's what they're saying. Okay, now that's some verbal communication. Okay, what I want to go over with you today is some visual communications. Okay, now these elite groups, they plan things decades upon decades in advance. But how do they communicate those plans to each other? Okay, that's the big question. You know, I've always wondered that. How did they do this? Okay, well, I'm going to show you. So there's some innocuous ways that elites communicate that don't really, you know, cause any harm to people or anything like that. And actually, if you know what they're saying, it can really benefit you. Okay, here's an example. I follow Elon Musk on Twitter. Okay, I think he's a cool guy. Okay, and he changes his profile picture every once in a while. Okay, here's his current profile picture. Okay, like I say, he's a good looking guy. I mean, yeah, you know, he looks like, you know, somebody I'd probably hang out with, everything. But is there a message in that profile picture? Yes, there is a message in that profile picture. And I'm going to show you what it is. So now let's take that profile picture, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down. Okay. Now then, here it is upside down. Do you see anything? You see anything? Just right off the bat. Look at the, I mean, besides the green circle I have right now, but look in that green circle and see if you recognize that image. Now, if you're from the South, if you're from the South, you see that image every spring and summer. Okay, what is it? It's a blue jay. It's a blue jay. Blue jay. Okay. And here's a picture of a blue jay just for reference. Pretty much exactly the same. So why would he have the image of a blue jay upside down on his profile picture? Well, he was wanting to communicate something to somebody. And what might that be? Well, I knew before he even announced that he was going to buy Twitter, I already knew that something was up with him and Twitter, specifically because of this image. Okay. Because you think about it. Okay. Blue jay, it's a blue bird. What's the logo Twitter, or the logo for Twitter? It's a blue bird. Okay. So we have a blue bird, which is a blue jay. Who is the former CEO of Twitter? Yeah, you got it. Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey. And believe me, I remember that name because I was in his gulag for a long time. The Twitter gulag. That's what we used to call it. But yeah, that's it. That's the message right there. Blue Jay, Jack Dorsey. Now, here's another image, and this goes from way back. Okay, this one here may be a little more sinister. Okay, this image here is from the Economist magazine. It's a cover of the Economist magazine. Can't really remember what month it was, but it was from 1988. And I remember seeing this. I mean, you know how you go through the grocery line and you see all the magazines right there at the checkout counter and everything. I remember seeing this. You know, I kind of wish I had gotten one, but I didn't. But anyway, here's the cover of that 1988 Economist magazine. Now, that's a pretty cool looking picture, and you know the title is like "Get ready for a new world currency," and you know it's showing this phoenix. Everybody, you know, your average Joe would say that was an eagle, but it's not an eagle. The way that you can always distinguish an eagle from a phoenix is it's got that little tip, you know, that little tip. It's like a little tip of hair. I got a lot of tips of hair, but it's a little tip of hair coming off the back of his head and everything. So you see the phoenix rising up out of this fire. You know, that's a symbol of a rebirth. You know, so it gives the imagery of a currency, new currency being born and everything. And for the average person, that's all they're going to see. Okay, and is there any messages in that? Oh man, you better believe there is. Now, when Bitcoin came out, it was like in 2008, 2009. Everybody was looking at this cover going, oh, that medallion on there is probably going to be Bitcoin. You know, I don't know if that's the case or not. Now, I will tell you that Russia, I think they're the only thing that Russia is taking for their oil right now. They're not taking US dollars. All they're taking is like rubles, gold, and I think Bitcoin. And there's actually several small countries that have already made Bitcoin legal tender. So who knows? It could be. I mean, I'm a crypto guy. I keep up with a lot of the crypto stuff and everything. So it could be. But let's look at it a lot closer, because I want to teach you or show you how these people communicate. And I call it speaking. They speak like serpents. Okay, because what they do is they turn everything upside down. They'll turn it backwards. They'll do all kinds of stuff, and in different languages as well too. But the Bible tells us about this. Let me read for you Psalms 140. Okay, it's Psalms 140 verse 3. Okay, they have sharpened their tongues like a serpent, and the poison of asps is under their lips. Okay. And we see that all the time. You know, especially if you watch the news. Like I say, you use them as a reverse barometer, okay? Because they're not speaking the truth. But let's look at this cover closely because there's a lot of messages in here, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn it upside down, okay? So here it is upside down. Now, what is the first thing that your eye sees in this when it's upside down? The first thing that my eye saw was this viper thing, like about to strike. That's the first thing I saw. Okay. And I tell you, when I was going back looking through this, I did look to see if those fangs maybe it might have been like have an image of syringes, but I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. So anyway, we got this viper coming out, okay? And the next thing that I saw were these two things that are very familiar to me on each side of the phoenix. And those two things are cicadas, okay? Down here in the South, here in Alabama, we call those things katydids, okay? And katydids, they're very interesting insects. And you know, they crawl, they stay in the ground for years and years and years and years. Okay, then they crawl up and they'll get on the tree and then they'll bust out that little shell, and you know, of course, all the boys will get the shells off the trees and chase the girls around. Yeah, they'll go screaming and stuff. And I actually do that with my wife still whenever I see them, and she still screams. And it's just a shell, you know. But yeah, they're very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. And what's the next thing that we see? We see this big medallion, and it's got these letters. It turned upside down now. To me, those look like Greek letters. So let's go through and let's take these you know, point by point and see what we can kind of tease out from this imagery here. Okay, let's start. Okay, so we got the viper. Okay, so we know it's striking. Okay, and there's probably going to be, maybe it symbolizes a strike on the financial system, since it is a financial magazine. Let's look at the cicadas. Okay, now, like I say, the phoenix, when it's turned right side up, that's a symbol of rebirth, you know, that every, you know, your average Joe would recognize. Okay, turned upside down, we have the two cicadas. Now, these are also major symbols of rebirth. Okay, so much so that I believe it was the Egyptians, they would actually carve like jade cicadas and put them in the mouth of their dead people to kind of, I guess, kind of help them remember how to be reborn in the afterlife or something like that. But they use this all over the world as a symbol of rebirth. I mean, even the Hopi Indians do this. So what are some other characteristics of these? Okay, they stay in the ground for years and years and years. Now, they're called broods. Okay, and there's different broods. Some of them stay in the ground for 17 years, some of them 13. There's a couple of broods that stay in the ground for like 3 years, or no, I'm sorry, 9 years. 9 years. So it's 17 years, 13 years, and 9 years. But for the most part, it's 17 years. Okay. So now that's that's very interesting. Excuse me 1 sec. Now it's getting kind of dry. Okay, so let me let's do a little addition here. Okay, so we know that The Economist magazine came out in 1988. There's our 1988. Okay, and we have two cicadas, one on each side. Okay, and they stay underground for 17 years before they emerge. So let's add that to 1988. So we have 34 since we have two of them. So 34. Okay, so we get 2, 1, 2, 1, 0, and then of course another one. 2022. What do you think about that? Isn't that a coincidence? No. Jim from Alabama doesn't believe in coincidences. Okay. I think that's very significant. Very, very significant. Okay. So maybe something's going to happen with the financial system in 2022. Another thing, on that emblem, when it's right side up, there was a 10. Okay. There was a 10. And I was like, why would they have a 10? I mean, is that just random? No, nothing that these people do. Excuse me. I've been sick for like over a week. I didn't take my ivermectin fast enough. And so I got sick. So if you even start feeling like a little tingle in your throat, oh man, you better jump on that ivermectin quick, because like I say, I was sick for like over a week. I still have to I still can't get rid of my cough. But let's look at this. Okay, now the number 10 in Roman numerals is X. X. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, as I was going through researching these cicadas, there is actually a brood called the X brood. And it's actually the largest brood in America. It's called Brood X. Okay. And they come out every 17 years. But I noticed that the last time they didn't emerge in 1988. They emerged in 1987. So is that significant? It could be. Because if you add 34 to 1987, of course, that's going to give you 2021. And you remember all the that everybody was supposed to get? The Viper. Maybe it has something to do with that. But anyway, that's just an aside for that one. This one right here, yeah, that's definite. That's definite right there. Okay, let's look at some other things. Okay, let's look at, let me wipe this off here. So what else have we got? Well, we have we have the 10 written in numerals and written in letters. Okay, so here's our 0, here's our 1 for the 10, here's the N, here's backwards E, and then we have this upside down T. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, this right here would be Omicron and iota. What does that mean in Greek? That means the or the. Here in the South, we say the. So let's look at this. This one right here would be upsilon. Upsilon. Okay. And then we have the epsilon here. Okay. And then we have tau. Okay. And what does that mean in Greek? You're not gonna believe it. You're not gonna believe it. And remember, this cover was made in 1988. Okay. Way before the internet. Well, actually, I guess way before the internet hit the main populace. I think it was used, like in education and like IBM, and people would send some messages to people and stuff and everything. But it wasn't known back then, really. But this means net or nets. Can you believe that? Is that not amazing? So it's there's just so they pack so much information into these things. It's just absolutely amazing to see. So we've got a viper, striking the financial system. We've got the timeline with the 2 cicadas, for 2022 this year. We know that they're using this on the net or as a net. Okay. What are you using net for? Catch fishes, catch game, whatever, catch people, So what else? What else is there? Okay. Let's look dead center. Let's look dead center. Okay. What is dead center in or on that that big medallion thing? It's this. It's a thing like that. Okay. Now then, that it's kind of 3-dimensional, so it kind of looks like this, coming out. So now that, to me, that gives a sense of coming out. Okay, because this thing right here is 2 different colors, so that gives me a sense of like coming out. Okay, so maybe that means that's when they're going to show themselves, or something is going to expose these elite people, or the financial system is going to be exposed, which actually, if you're paying close attention to all the news and everything, I mean, there's stuff coming out all over the place. It's crazy. It's nuts, So maybe that symbolizes that, they're coming out, being revealed, something like that. Now, there's also another, this means something else too. Okay. You take this off. I think this would be the same as this symbol here. That's called a phi. Okay, and that's used in mathematical equations and things like that. Now, what does the phi symbolize? Well, one of the main things that it symbolizes is the golden ratio. Okay, the golden ratio. I'm not going to go too much into that. I'm a math guy and everything, so I pretty much understand everything, but it's basically a ratio that's found all throughout nature. It's found in music. It's found in art. Even Leonardo, painted all of his paintings with this ratio in mind. And this ratio, the golden ratio, is like, I think it's like 1.618 331, something like that. But this golden ratio, it's so prevalent, throughout nature, even financial markets. But you can test it. You can measure from the end of your arm to the tips of your fingers, and then measure from your elbow to the tips of your fingers, and divide the two, and it should come out very, very close to that number. Another way you can actually do it is from the top of your head to your feet, and then from the top of your head to your belly button, and divide those two, and it should be the same thing. It's absolutely amazing. It's related to the Fibonacci sequence, everything, but it's very, very fascinating. Very fascinating. So how does that fit in all of this? That number 5, or that ratio, like I say, has to do with the Fibonacci sequence and everything. And if you're into trading at all, stocks, cryptos, whatever, you know what the Fibonacci sequences are. Okay. And this phi, this golden ratio, tells people when to enter a market and when to exit a market. So, putting everything all together, okay, we have this viper striking the financial system, 2 cicadas, 2022. We have the nets, I guess, I don't know if it means internet or a net of grabbing people's money or whatever. And then we have this phi, which signals entry and exit points in a financial market. So that's, I just want to put all this out there and let y'all see what I see. Okay. I hope nothing really, really bad happens. But you've always got to have your head on a swivel. You've always got to be prepared. Always have to have situational awareness. Okay. Because guys, I think that we're in a time that it's going to get much more difficult for everybody before it gets better, unfortunately. So if you don't, if you don't have a garden yet, I haven't gotten to start my garden. My tiller's actually broken, so I haven't even gotten to start mine. But please get you a garden going, or just a couple of tomato plants or something. Now, if you're into eschatology, okay, you could probably you're probably already seeing a pattern. Okay. You know, seal 2 is the war. You know, wars and like rumors of wars and stuff like that. Seal 3 is famine. What's happening right now in the world. Okay. They've stopped, the US has stopped transporting fertilizer from Russia. Russia is the main supplier of US and actually Western nations fertilizer. They're recalling meat because of E. coli breakouts. And get this, you know, there's like 16 or 18 food processing plants that have been destroyed. What I mean got hit by that gun plane. A plane hitting a food processing plant. So what does that lead into? Famine, which is seal 3, which goes into seal 4, which is you know, a quarter of the world's population dying. And you remember that? You've seen all these athletes and young people dying, you know, just dropping like flies. So like I say, I just want to put all this stuff out there and show y'all a little bit about what I see of how these people speak to each other, how they coordinate, and how they communicate their messages, and even communicate their messages through time. So God bless y'all. Now I just started my channel. I would love it if you subscribe to my channel. I'm making these videos as fast as I can, but yeah, I would really love that. And you know, if y'all see anything out there that y'all may find and decode, please leave me a comment. You know, I'd love to hear that. And I don't get to follow Elon that much on Twitter, but keep a heads up and let me know when he changes his profile picture, because like I say, you know, he usually always has some kind of message in there, and you know, if you're on top of it, you know, it may be very beneficial to you and everything. So God bless y'all. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next video.